Hello and welcome to the channel everyone, it's the Eradicator, and in this video we'll have a recap of the latest Star Citizen Live, which was about the landing zones and especially the content team here talked about the evolutions of the ongoing landing zones. There was no really talk about the future landing zones, but let's have a look. This video is going to be a recap of what was told, but of course not in 1 hour. I will try to make it shorter. Also, don't forget that this month I've got an exceptional giveaway, as I am giving away a Retaliator bomber with lifetime insurance. All you have to do is winning is to be a subscriber and answer the giveaway related question that I'll be asking throughout the video. Also, for those who have access to my Discord channel via Patreon or the join button, I also give away with lifetime insurance an Origin G12R, so good luck out there. Alright, let's see what the dev team has to talk about regarding landing zones now. Alright, so the first thing that we learned is about Levski. Levski was the very first landing zone that was introduced into the verse back in Star Citizen Alpha 3.0. Levski is not in the verse right now. It was brought back to the Nick system, which is not in the verse, right? It will probably be there when we'll have Star Citizen Alpha 4.0 or even a little bit later. And the question was, are there going to be any improvements or even special additions or extra additions added to Levski? For that is apparently a secret, so I guess that the answer is yes, but maybe they will not have the time or the funds to do that. I guess that we'll see, but they do have plans to improve Levski in terms of new content, in terms of optimization. That is where the work is going to be done, because of course they have improved the way that they are building those landing zones in a more efficient way, in a less resource hungry way as well, which is why Levski was probably removed as well to make way for the Genothreat event and then Crusader, because it was built in a time that was, they were still testing things. It was basically a prototype for the next landing zones to come, and of course it needs to be optimized with new meshes. It needs to be optimized with new textures, new panels, new assets that have been created that are also less resource hungry for our client, but for the servers as well. And that is what is going to be done with Levski when it comes back. Next, the devs talked about the cities of Lorville and Area 18 and some of the things that they would like to improve. So regarding Lorville, what they would like to do is eventually make it even larger. The problem, of course, with Lorville is that it feels like right now it's the only settlement on planet Hurston itself, and especially if you compare it obviously to Area 18, but also New Babbage, it kind of feels cramped. Everything is located within the same sector. The spaceport itself is inside the city, which is something that they said that they don't want to have ever again, because, well, it's not really that realistic, right? In most area, you don't have, even right now in the world on Earth, you don't have any major cities now where the airport is actually inside the city. Even where I live in Taipei, there is an airport inside the city. It is only for a very few flights every day. Most airports now are outside of cities, and that's why in Star Citizen the starports themselves are going to be outside of cities. So I don't think that this is going to change ever again, unless there's going to be the construction of a new starport in the future on Lorville, but that's going to bring extra work from us, so that's not going to work. But what they want to do is to just add extra buildings, extra zones to make Lorville feel more imposing, and I think that will make sense, and I don't think that it would take much resources to do. Regarding Area 18, they're pretty happy with their work because they've learned a lot from Lorville. The only problem is that some of the assets are several kilometers long, so how do you make a building that is going to follow the shape of a planet? Because spoilers, guys, planets are not flat, they are round, obviously. So how do you make a building with a proper geometry that is going to match the shape of the planet? That was the main challenge that they had with Area 18. And also what they're going to do in the future is something that we've already seen patch again, is improving the meshes, improving the quality of the textures of Area 18 in order to improve performance, in order to improve optimization, something that they have done. If you compare now Area 18 compared to how it was in 3.6, it is night and day. It is so much better, so much more fluid. The frames per second are so much higher, and that is something that they're going to continue working on in the future. Next, they talked about player hangars, and they were very vague regarding player hangars. It's just that at some point we will have them in the future, but they did not say when or whatever. We did have some tidbit of information, though. There will be more player brands, which I guess if people are excited about it, I guess that's great. As we get more landings, I suppose I will have more hanger brands as we get, for example, Terra, which is going to be the next major landing zone that hopefully we will have in the near future, as after we get 4.0 and all the Nix and Paro, and maybe there's also going to be some uber luxurious hangars when we are going to get Cassel, which is in the Ghost system, which is like the uber luxurious tropical paradise maybe. So we should expect a couple of them as well, but that's pretty much it here regarding player hangars. When it comes to the amount of hangars per landing zone, that is a very interesting question, because right now we are limited to 40 or 50 players per server, but in the future, as we are going to get server meshing, in theory there should be hundreds or thousands of players playing all together. How about, especially if we still have this cramped PU with just a very few amount of planets? What if everybody's trading around Lorville, for example? How do you manage this few amount of hangars? Because if I remember, there are only 20 hangars at the maximum, right? But what if we have 100 players trying to take off Lorville at the same time to go trading around, right? How is that going to work? Well, the good news is that these landing zones that we have been designed to have more hangars than they currently have, and you can see that from above. You can see that there definitely are some extra spots that are just not used right now. They will be used in the future, so that's good news that this has been thought in advance. The next question is about the landing pads that we can see on top of the Lorville CBD, and they are very aware that the players can see those landing pads. They're very eager to just land there and then be able to sell their goods at the CBD, because that would save a lot of time. Unfortunately, that is not going to be the case. Those landing pads are going to be here for future specific missions that will be in the verse, but are not right now available. I don't think that they will let just mere petty traders land there. These are going to be the landing pads for the executives at the CBD, so that's why I believe that they will only be used for some missions, or maybe if you have some kind of reputation. That's pure speculation here, but there will be the reputation system that will be in place, and you will be able to have a good reputation with the with Hearthstone Dynamics. Maybe in the future, if you have like the top reputation with that particular organization, you will be able to land there. I think that will be a good idea, but that again is just my own idea. The same with the pads that you can see at the various area of our corp as well. Right now they're not very useful, but in the future they want to expand on the interiors of some of the buildings that do have those pads, a little bit like what you have on New Babbage, for example. At New Babbage, where you land at some of those skyscraper landing pads, you can go a little bit in the interior to deliver some boxes. This is also something that we'll see in the future too, maybe on our corp too. They did also mention roads, which, as far as I'm concerned, is also a much needed feature, because right now it's not really comfortable to fly or drive those ground vehicles. Right now it's very bumpy. You got those rocks everywhere. Even still now, I really don't like it. It makes me sick when I drive those vehicles. I don't feel comfortable. That's why we need roads. And in the future, when we're going to have those homestays, or maybe landing zones that will be even more stretched out than those that we currently have right now, those ground vehicles will be very useful to go from one place to another. We won't want to be using the transportation systems all the time, right? And they do say that right now probably they could have roads, but they don't have any plans to have roads. But maybe in the future. They were a little bit embarrassed. It looked like they were a little bit embarrassed when the roads were mentioned, but this is something that was shown many years ago in Around the Verse, and since then just nothing. They did mention that they could use the river system that is coming up in the future for roads too, so we'll see how that play out. Which leads me to this giveaway question, guys. Do you have ground vehicles? And so, do you enjoy using your ground vehicles if you have one? As far as I'm concerned, I do not, because we don't have roads, right? They're not really very comfortable to use. They make me very dizzy, as I said before, and that's why I barely use them. I only use them at New Babbage to go from the commons door to my ship, and that's basically it. But if you do have a ground vehicle, please tell me if you used it and how. That is the giveaway question for the Retaliator Bomber. We also had a question about landing pads, and especially, are we going to be able to land in the open air on places, for example, like Area 18? I mean, we can do that theoretically outside of the commons at New Babbage, but in the future, will it be possible to do that at Area 18? And they are not really keen on the idea. They like the idea of having, hangars that basically open and close, so that it provides safety to the players, because they do know that they are, obviously, they didn't say that, but they were implying that they are aware they are griefers who like to do, padding ram and other players like that. We've seen that, they probably learned a lot from Port Orizar, which is why they tend to favor the option of having those kind of doors that open and close and secure the players' ships when they land at landing zones. Now, next, they also talked about multiple landing zones on the different planets, and some planets are obviously designed to have single landing zones, like especially those that are specific to special corporations because they've been bought by those corporations, like obviously Lorville, which is the only settlement on Hurston, or New Babbage for Markotech as well. But there could be, there are several other landing zones scheduled for our corp. We've got area 17, which needs to be worked on, and there are other landing zones that Chris did mention on our corp, so maybe these will be worked on. They did not talk about it during the QA, unfortunately, but this is from previous knowledge or previous statements that were told by CIG developers in the future. They didn't talk about whether or not there will indeed be an area 17, but let's hope that there's going to be more diversity in the future. We do know that they want to have some kind of ocean also on our corp. That is also a plan, but right now, obviously, the idea is to bring more content to the verse. This will be these future iterations of the landing zones and plans that we have will be for the far future. And that's pretty much it for the juicy parts of that live stream, with Jared and the team. I wish that they could have been a little bit more informative. It's not their fault. They're probably limited by what they are allowed to talk about. When it was very clear, right, very often that there were some awkward silences, which is very often the case, unfortunately, when we have those Q&As, because the backers want to know specifics and the devs have orders not to get any spoilers. We could see, for example, the trouble that Tony Z got in when he revealed that there would be a Ninetales event, right? So that's why, unfortunately, these are just tiny bits of information, and I tried to condensate that into this video. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Stay tuned to the channel. We'll have more content coming up tomorrow. This is the Eradicator. I'll see you guys later. This video is brought to you by the people who support this channel on Patreon and via the join button as well. Supporters of the channel get access to lots of cool perks, such as access to my private Discord, your question answered in the show, you get to know when I'm going to play, and also you get to have a chance to influence the editorial line of the channel. Any help is appreciated, starts at just $1 a month. Thank you very much for watching. This is the Eradicator, and I'll see you guys later.